Okay, it's very windy today, but what I want to show you is the Astro-Physic's right angle polar alignment scope, the RAPAS, also using the Android app to align it. I have an Android phone, and this will fit multiple Astro-Physics mounts either directly onto the rear of the right ascension axis or through adapters that they make. What you see here is my 1600 mount. This will also fit on my 1100 that I currently have. Now, I also have this last Polar scope, and this thing has served me well for years. But the advantage of a right angle polar scope such as this is that instead of looking directly like you would here, you'd have to look through the axis of your right ascension axis. You'd have to look through that axis to whatever your latitude was. So if I'm at around 41, but if you had to go, and even this is kind of a bit hard, but the higher you go, the harder it is for you to have to crane your neck to do the alignment. So the advantage obviously is with a right angle, you're looking straight into it and you're not having to get down on your knees or get down low and try to look up. So, but I've had no issues. This last Mandy has been a very good tool, and I haven't had any issues with it. But again, the right angle polar scope from the Astro-Physics is much more user-friendly in getting it aligned. Okay, so to attach the RAPAS, I've got to take this rear cap off. And you'll see where these two indents are in the rear right ascension cap. That's where the two would go that are milled into this. So when you stick that in there, it fits nice. Don't even have to, it doesn't move around. You can hold it, and then I'll just take this take the number 2 screwdriver and then just tighten the 3 captive bolts. It's that simple. So once I have that attached, because I never leave the Illuminator on, then I can attach my Illuminator. Here we're looking down into the right ascension axis where the deck axis would attach. And you can see the polar scope. So let's take a look at the right angle polar scope first, the RAPAS. And I keep it in this Pelican 1170 case when not in use. And since my mounts are not set up permanently, they pretty much stay in here. And it keeps it from getting damaged and keeps everything together. So inside this case I keep the right angle polar alignment scope, which you see here, the main unit. Also is the LED illuminator to illuminate the reticle. And then I have a screwdriver that I keep in here, a Phillips, a stubby Phillips, And I just put this piece of 7/32 vacuum hose on just so that tip doesn't do any damage or scratch or do anything. And I just simply just put that on like that, put it in here, and then everything I need to put it on the scope is right at hand. Okay, let's look at the Illuminator first. And the battery compartment, it comes apart here. I open, should have went that way. And you have 2 button batteries in there. And the ones supplied are 2 GPA 76 batteries. Now when you put the batteries back in, smooth side goes up. On and off switch has a nice positive feel to it. On, off. And last but certainly not least is the actual polar scope itself. And like anything else, Astro-Physics, it is built just with impeccable tolerances and standards. Now, a couple things as noted on the website from Astro-Physics. Obviously, the advantages are the right angle viewing eliminates neck strain, which we all know about that when you've got to look straight through and you're at higher altitudes. Even from my altitude, it can be a pain. And the reticle is good for the north and south hemispheres through 2040. And it states that it can be used in light polluted areas and during early twilight as only Polaris needs to be seen. So 1 star, that's it. And obviously I showed that the battery powered Illuminator is adjustable in the brightness control, and you can use this on any of the Astro-Physics mounts with the appropriate backing plate or adapter. Also, as to the optical specs of this unit, the objective lens is a 200mm focal length with a 25mm diameter. The eyepiece is a 22mm wide field orthoscopic with a focusing collar, and the field of view is 6 degrees. Let's take a closer look. Take the cap off the eyepiece end. And we'll take the cap off the optical tube end. Now this eyepiece is focusable to the reticle. So what you want to do when using this, because everybody's eyes are a little different, obviously you focus this, turn it until the reticle is sharp to your eyes. Whether you keep glasses on or off, I keep mine on all the time, so I always use my glasses. And so get the reticle nice and focused, sharp. Next thing you want to do is, if you need to, once you've got the reticle focused, sharp to your eye, then you want to put it in the mount, or you could just hold it by hand up to a star, bright star, but put it in the mount, go to Polaris, and make sure that it is focused, because this is how you focus the stars. This is to focus the reticle. This adjustment down here is to focus on the star. And I had to adjust mine. So this is a locking collar. I'm not going to unlock it. You would rotate it to the left as you're looking here. Just rotate it to the left to loosen it. And then you would want to back it off some. And then you could rotate this back and forth until the star is sharp. Then I hold this, hold the unit, and then lock that down and double check everything. Now the reticle, once focused and sharp, and once this adjustment is made, if required, everything should be sharp, the reticle and the star at the same time. Now the set screw that you see just below the eyepiece there, that is not to be touched. Instructions come with it to align the reticle in the north and south orientation, so take a look at the good instructions that come with the unit to in case you need to do that. That's what that is for. If everything is fine, you don't touch it. If you do need to make that adjustment to the alignment of the reticle for the north and south line here, that will require a 5/64 Allen wrench. 5/64. Next we see these three bolts, Phillips head bolts, that are held captive. Can't lose them. Spring loaded. And that's what you'll use to screw into, to attach us into the mount adapter or the rear of the right ascension axis, depending on what your scope is and what the setup is. And these two machined raised surfaces kind of act as a dowel pin or a locating. So when you put this on the adapter or the mount, these will go into recesses that are on either the RA axis rear plate or your adapter plate. And to install the illuminator, that's what this plug is for. Pull that plug, and the LED illuminator threads directly into, it's got the knurled collar down here, and it's that simple. So let's take a look at that app for the Android phone. We'll click on the shortcut, and you'll notice the first thing that comes up, it asks for, it says GPS is disabled in your device, would you like to enable it? And normally I will always have it enabled prior to me opening the app, but if I don't, I would just click enable GPS. But for this, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to enable it. I'm going to just do it manually. Okay, so for this, I'm not going to have my location shown. Okay, so I've got this in the night mode, and for this demonstration, I'm not using my GPS location. I just put in a longitude of 50 degrees west. I didn't even put a latitude in. But if you use the GPS, you would get a latitude and longitude reading. You will get the correct time though here, and the date, the local sidereal time, and everything else will be accurate to whatever you put in manually. And so this is what the screen looks like. And if you do this, you can zoom in and actually get a better look at where Polaris, that green dot, that's where you would put Polaris. And what's interesting is you can come in here and you can actually make the size larger if you want. You can go extra large, and you'll see how it's large. And then just go back into the tools, and I like it smaller, so I go small, and I just prefer it that way. Also, as you orientate the phone, this will change with it. Something else I like about this app for the Android phone is you can see you can change different things here. First, you have the hemisphere, north or south. There's southern, northern. Then you've got your image, your reticle type. So these are all the different reticles. You've got a built-in, you've got the iOptron, the Astro-Physics in my case, the Losmandy. I'm going to hit Losmandy, and I'll go, whoops, I hit the wrong one there. I will go Losmandy and then go back. And there's your Losmandy, because I actually do have this Losmandy polar scope. And you can see, it shows you the orientation that it would be in the sky. Everything else down here is the same, but it changes the actual diagram, the actual reticle, depending on what it is. So then you got the Skywatcher, you got the Takahashi, Vixen, Astrotrack, and Star Adventurer. Let me go back to the Astro-Physics. And then you can set your markers, night mode. Okay, I've got it on right now. Let me go off. And there's night mode. And you can see where Polaris is. And then let me go back to the night mode on. And there it is on. I just prefer that night mode. And you can tell it how you want to display your location as. And then again, here you have your longitude source, either manual or GPS. And if it was GPS, it would show down here. Oops, I bumped that. It would show down here what that was. And this is who the app is from. And this app is by TechHead, the one that you want. And I have not rated this one yet, but I'm going to. I really do like it. I think it's an excellent app. And I like the fact that it does have multiple uses. And if you have an Astro-Physics mount, and you also have the Losmandy, as I showed, it has the Losmandy reticle in there.